Hey there. Looks like you're finally awake. How are you feeling? You had me worried there for a second. Found you buried beneath the rubble. My name is Trunks. It's nice to meet you. Do you have any memory of what happened to you? I was patrolling the area, looking for signs of the androids to make sure that I could save anybody that would be put in harm's way. When I came across you, saw your hand. It was actually sticking out of the rubble, and I thought that you were, I thought you were gone. But I wanted to make sure, so I dug through the rubble, and lo and behold, to my relief, you were still breathing. I checked your pulse, and you were still alive. Carried you back, flew back actually, and made sure that you were taken care of. You see, my mom, she is a very smart woman. Yeah, she's actually working on a time machine right now. So, she's not really a doctor, but she has enough medical experience to be able to handle situations like the one that you found yourself in. So we were able to bandage you up and take care of you, although you still have a couple of cuts and bruises and scrapes and things of that nature that you will probably feel for the next couple of days, but it's okay. You have the option, if you'd like, of course, to stay here with me and my mother. It isn't much, but we do okay, considering the circumstances that we find ourselves in these days, as you know. Small, little underground bunker. Well, not really so underground. As you can tell, it's raining and you can hear the rain. But it's out of sight, out of mind. A little under the surface area. Underground, but not quite underground. Hard to explain, but we used to have, I don't remember much of it, but Mother tells me that we used to run a corporation called Capsule Corporation, and that was massive. She says, if you can believe this, that it was like a mansion, room after room after room, with personal chefs and all these things. I can't picture that at all, honestly. This is kind of the only life I've ever known. Modest, humble, mostly because building anything that would be luxurious is just a target for the androids to show up and destroy, so there really isn't a point. And of course, if my mother is to continue her research on the time machine, it's best we don't give up our position, if you know what I mean. But where are my manners? I'm really sorry. Would you like a beverage of some sort? Some tea? Some coffee? Some water? Juice? We have quite a bit, actually. A lot of it is condensed. A lot of it is, in fact, processed and currently in powdered form, so I'll mix it up with some water if you'd like. I have some tea with me right here if you'd like some. Some tea? Perfect. Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad outside right now. It's chilly, rainy, but a nice cup of tea is probably exactly what you need. What anyone needs at this point. Let me just pour some for you. I hope that you like some Earl Grey. It always makes me relaxed. It's my favorite kind of tea. Cheers. Hope that you enjoy it. It's got some caffeine in it too, you know, it will wake you up, but it doesn't have as much as coffee. So that's really cool, I think. You know, when you feel ready, of course, I would love to hear your story. Oh, that in the corner? Yeah, that's actually my sword. Yeah, I use a sword to fight. It was given to me by a man named Tapion. I'm not really sure where he came from, to be honest. He showed up one day, helped me fight the androids, but he was kind of just stopping by. He had his own battles to worry about. He wasn't from this time period, or this universe, I don't think so. He left. But he showed up and gave me the sword, taught me how to use it, and it has been very handy in my fight against the androids. So I can't complain. He was a good man. But he saw how dangerous the androids were, and I don't really think that he wanted to risk being killed while he was here, especially considering how his world, according to him, had a giant monster by the name of Irudigarn that was currently loose and about and terrorizing his people. So his priority was to refuel his time machine and get out of here as soon as possible. Of course, the good thing about that is he did help my mom with some sketches and blueprints for her time machine. So he sped up our research by decades. And we honestly can't thank him enough. I hope that one day I'll be able to see him again and give him my thanks, because he deserves it. He will never know how much he's helped us. Of course, it's all theoretical so far, but every day I see her make progress. But enough about me. Tell me about yourself. How did you find yourself in that situation? Was it the androids? Androids 17 and 18 are known to cause trouble, not just for people like me, but just regular humans in general. It's one of the reasons why they keep me alive. You know, they could have killed me by this point. I really do believe that. The reality is, if they killed me, well, as sick and twisted as it sounds, if they did, they wouldn't really have anyone to play with anymore, when you really think about it. That's kind of their MO. Well, no one really knows what their motivations are since Goku's gone, and that's why they were created, to get rid of Goku, to kill him, and now that he's not around anymore, I don't really know. I guess they're just bored and they enjoy, in a really psychopathic kind of way, they enjoy terrorizing humanity. And it just so happens that I, being half Saiyan, half human, I'm able to give them the kind of challenge they're looking for. And they know that since I'm the last hybrid on Earth that's able to combat them, and at least fight them on equal footing to some extent, if they killed me, well, they wouldn't have anyone left to entertain them. Because humans can't fight them. You know, you guys can take out your guns, your AK-47s, your rifles, your snipers, it doesn't matter. None of that stuff penetrates them. It's boring for them. And so, they don't play with humans. They come across one, they kill them immediately. So, I don't imagine you came across the androids, right? Nah, I see. Well, that does make sense. A lot of people forget the androids, well, they are the main priority for us. They're the main concern, but because of what they've done, destroying the world, essentially breaking down civilization, destroying every single global society and army. That has broken down the fabric of our civilization, and it has brought out various groups of militia and looters and criminals. People can essentially do whatever they want now as long as they don't come across the androids. There is no more police. There is no more law and order because the androids got rid of all of that. So the only groups that are left are miscreants that show up to loot the scraps, so to speak. See, these groups, they look for supplies whenever they can. They try to stay out of the way of the androids, of course, because if they ever came across the androids, well, the androids, they would kill these people indiscriminately. The androids don't care whether you're good, bad, somewhere in between, whether you're father, mother, they don't care what sports team you like. It doesn't matter to them. They'll kill you all the same. That's why they're here. But these groups, they're able to take advantage of that and really loot stores for supplies, establish pecking orders and hierarchies and all of these things. I can do something about it, but honestly my hands are full. They don't really pose a threat to me. As a Super Saiyan, of course, I am more than capable of handling a couple of miscreants that don't know how to fight, but I really am focused on the androids. I do what I can, you see. Decades ago, the legendary Super Saiyan, as I was told by my mother, was the ultimate transformation. Something that even galactic emperors, tyrants like Frieza, I mean, you wouldn't know who Frieza is, of course, but he was an alien that ruled the galaxy. Even he was terrified of Super Saiyans. And here I am as a Super Saiyan, and I am no match for these androids. Two cyborgs that were created right here on Earth by Dr. Gero. Dr. Gero, a human from the Red Ribbon Army. From the Red Ribbon Army. Could have been taken care of by Goku decades ago, and that's one mistake that I'm sure Goku regrets, letting Dr. Gero live, because ever since that day, he made it his mission to make sure he got rid of Goku and made him pay. Of course, the doctor did not expect his life to be taken by the androids when it was. You see, the androids, they did not like Dr. Gero. They had probably too much intelligence for their own good. And the good doctor, of course, he probably underestimated how much control he actually gave them. The amount of sentience he gave them. And part of that, I think, is that he felt it would give them better autonomy in combat. And he was probably right, but what he didn't account for was that they would kill him once he activated them, which they did. And after that, it was off to the races. Nobody survived, and I'm the last one left. And every single day, I know that they're out there hunting me. They're looking for me. There's definitely no mistaking it. They are looking for me every day. I see the news and I see the stories of them blowing up cities, and the reason they're doing it, well, it's two parts, right? It's, number one, they're bored and they find it entertaining, because let's be honest, it's been 20 years since they showed up, and they could have destroyed humanity by this point. They only needed a year to wipe everybody out. But they didn't, because then they would be bored. It's all about having fun for them. There is no rhyme or reason. They don't want power. They don't want to take over the world. They don't want slaves. They just want to have fun in their own psychotic way. And this is how they do it, unfortunately. And so they know that I'm watching. And so when they destroy these cities, they know there's a chance that they'll be able to lure me out to fight them again. How's the tea, by the way? It's good, right? Yeah, we grow our own tea leaves, actually. As you know, it's hard to find tea anymore. It's hard to find much of anything these days that's not canned, processed, bottled. Crops and things like that are hard to come by unless you have your own green room, which we do. But you're not really going to find that. And if there was any, crops or tea or anything of that nature, well, the looters got to it by this point, so you won't really find it. No chocolate milk, no soda, like all that stuff. It's gone, unfortunately. But the good news is, I'm leading a resistance. I call it the resistance. I know it's not very creative, but it is a group of people, like-minded individuals, that our goal is to restore humanity, prosperity to the human race. Naturally, I'm the only one who can fight the androids, but what my group, the group that I'm leading, the resistance, can do is we can help the community. We can help the people that are out there for resources, learning how to grow crops, learning how to harvest, learning how to maintain the community, build the community, teach the younger generation, things like math, science, but just passing that information down so that we continue to build our knowledge. There's no more schools, there's no more education. None of that exists anymore, and so the only ones that can pass that down are the older generations who learned of these things, who learned math, who learned science, who learned arithmetic, architecture, art, geology, farming, all of these things. We can pass that down to the younger generations so that we continue after the androids are hopefully dealt with, if ever. But we owe it to ourselves to keep that going, and so that's what my movement is responsible for. We have different divisions that I've established. We have a combat division that is... No one fights the androids. Just to be clear, I am the only one that does that. I have made it very clear that no one is to go near them, except for me, because I'm the only one who can fight them with somewhat of a fighting chance. But the combat division is responsible for protecting citizens from other humans. The opportunists that we just talked about, the ones who loot, pillage, and other things. That's what the combat division is for. Yeah, and if you're interested, I would definitely welcome you into my ranks. You would have to work your way up. We'd have to train you in combat, if that's what you want to do. And if you want to be in the non-combat division, that's perfectly acceptable as well. We can teach you whatever you find interest in, whether it's math, science, farming. We can make it happen. Everyone has a place here in my community, in my resistance. That is the goal. If you even want to be somewhat of a builder, a scientist, you can even work with my mother and help her with her time machine. You'd probably start by just, running errands, looking for parts and pieces that she needs, which can be a dangerous job. Don't get me wrong, but it's a very valuable one. It's up to you. You can go your own way once you're fully healed and ready to go, and then you can be on your way. It's no requirement for you to stay. I won't hold it against you, but I figured that I would just extend the olive branch. We have to stick together, us humans. Make no mistake about it, I do consider myself to be a human. Above all else, even though I am part Saiyan, I do identify with the human race, and I will do everything in my power to make sure that we overcome this. And we will. I'm going to get that time machine. My mom's going to build it, and I'm going to travel back in time, and I'm going to change history. We need the help of one man. One man, I believe, will be able to change history. Goku. If we can go back in time and change what happened to him, change the heart virus that he succumbed to, we have the antidote. We just have to give it to him. If we can do that, everything changes. Goku, I believe, and I know from my mother, what she tells me, he is the one person that would always be able to overcome the odds. And I think he would be able to defeat the androids. If we can do that, we can change history. And I don't understand the intricacies of time travel. Tapion never really explained it to me. I don't know if that would rewrite our current reality, or if it would simply split the timeline in two, but I am sure that I can pick up a thing or two from Goku and learn from him and take that back to our time and get rid of the androids. I am going to make it my goal. I promise you and everybody else that's counting on me to make that a reality, I will make it happen. I promise. For you, for my mother, and for everyone else that's out there that is afraid, that lives every single day in fear of the androids, knocking down their door and murdering them in cold blood. I will not let that go on forever. That is a promise. So, I didn't mean to turn this into a motivational rally of sorts. I guess you can say I'm very passionate about this. I've lived my whole life under their tyranny, and so now that I'm finally able to fight, I will do everything in my power, and I'll help those along the way. So, what do you say? Would you like to join the resistance? You would. Awesome. And I have to ask, you don't have to know the answer to this right now at this very moment, of course. You can take the time that you need to think about it. I can even walk you through each specific division, show it to you firsthand, but is there any specific division that you feel you're interested in? Okay. We do have a culinary division. So that is an option. People need to eat, especially the combatants. But if you are interested in science, then my mother would be the best person to talk to, and I can introduce you to her. She knows a lot. She's very smart. It's funny because she always jokes around that if it wasn't for the fact that I have to continuously train to keep myself in shape to fight the androids, she would have turned me into a scientist as well. I'm kind of a dummy in comparison now because I just don't have the time to learn these things. I don't have the luxury of studying. So we could always use another intellectual. It would be helpful. It might even speed up the process of building the time machine. In my honest opinion, if you really want to contribute the most possible, the most important job you can have is to help her build that time machine. That is going to be our saving grace. That is going to determine the future of humanity. So my recommendation would be that you meet my mother and begin to learn physics, chemistry, biology, architecture, engineering, of course, to be able to help her build that time machine. The best part is you don't need to go to school. You don't need a degree. You can just learn from her informally, and you'll be as educated as a doctor within a year. So it's a pretty good deal. I would definitely highly recommend it. And if nothing else, you'll be able to enjoy a nice cup of Earl Grey while you tinker on the machine. So, what do you say? Does that sound good to you? Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad. And hey, you can still take a look at my sword if you want. It's pretty heavy. I don't know that, I'm not trying to make an assumption as to how strong you are, but it's a pretty heavy sword. Yeah, it's got to be at least a couple of tons there, but, you know, you can try. I'm not King Arthur or anything like that, but... Or was it King Alexander? Alexander the Great. That's the story, I think. You'll have to excuse me, history has been all but forgotten. As I'm sure you're aware, like, it's not something that we really study anymore, but that's part of the resistance, and what we're doing is that we're passing this information on so that we can continue to collect humanity's history and not forget about it. But I digress. I think that you should get some sleep. Sleep off your injuries. You've got some cuts, you've got some bruises. You're gonna feel a little rough around the edges for the next couple of days, but I'll go down to the lab and talk to my mother and tell her all about you. I'll bring her up here as soon as she's able to meet you, and we can get you started. You can hit the books and start to learn chemistry, physics, engineering, and before you know it, you might even be just as good as she is. Don't tell her I told you that, of course, but the sooner you learn these things, the sooner we'll be able to complete the time machine. So, I am very excited, and I'm happy to have you on board. I truly am. I'm glad I was able to get to you before something happened. If I hadn't gotten there in time, who knows what would have happened. So, I'm very happy. But, enjoy your tea. If you need anything, just let me know. I'm right down the hall, and I will talk to you in the morning, okay? I'll let my mom know. Alright, awesome. We'll get some shut-eye. I'll see you. Good night. Bye.